scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the final countdown show. We're starting on time. You know what that means? No JSU, no Big T, right? Since we're starting on time. It's me, it's AP. Yeah, AP, we're shooting some shots over there. You know what? The only way we're going to get them to show up on time is maybe just get on them over and over. So maybe they're listening. Maybe they'll understand. I do think JSU's better at it than our guy Big T. Big T is the one that needs to get a little better at it. But hey, we're here to talk NBA, not talk shit about JSU and Big T.
I mean, it sounds like you're here to like talk some shit, man. Go.
To be fair, they talk their shit on their shows here and there. So we figure we got to get on them a little bit. Who knows? Maybe that'll change this week. You never know. A little healthy competition. Maybe they'll want to show up early for their next show tomorrow. AP, it could happen.
In their defense, just to be that nice guy. What is nice is the NBA, the news is crazy. We're getting a lot of news early tonight, which is really nice, but they do stay on late, discuss the news as it hits post-lock. And it's something that I'm not going to be able to do tonight. I got my daughter has activities in one place and my son has activities in another place, which happens about 15 minutes after lock is when I got to leave. So it's like, I'm going to be like Megan, I hope we get all of the news so I can make my adjustments and then I can go do my parental duties. But we will see. We will definitely see.
Yeah, you never know in the NBA. It can be absolutely wild. For me, I will not be sitting with you by myself for an hour after lock. I will tell you that right now. But I'll be in the Discord, of course. We'll be, making lineup adjustments and all that stuff. Another great reason to be a One Pure Sports member using that code RPS15. And yeah, Brady, the free shows are there for the most part on time. Not always, but today, definitely on time and ready to roll, ready to talk about today's NBA slate. And I'll just go over some pieces of news that we're waiting on. We're waiting on Kelly Oubre. He is questionable for Philadelphia. Obviously, there's news there, right? Embiid out, Lowry out, KJ Martin. That's huge already. After that, I don't really care about the Pacers guys, Freeman and Jackson, who are doubtful. Not big deals to me. Andre Jackson, questionable. Karl Anthony Towns, he is questionable along with Miles McBride, which I'm sure that's news you're hoping hits early, AP, and isn't too chaotic because, hey, when someone like Karl Anthony Towns misses, that's going to be chaotic, and Tom Thibodeau will play his guys' minutes. We know he'll play a tight rotation. And then later, we have Desmond Bane doubtful, Luke Kennard questionable, and then not anything else too crazy. So that's kind of the rundown so far with the guys that we are waiting on. The key guys that are out, Jeremy Grant, he is out. We did just get D'Angelo Russell out pretty recently. Ben Simmons out as well. Cam Johnson, he's missing as well. And Watford. So, hey, we're going to talk about the Nets against the Pacers a lot.
You know what I was kind of mad at? I wish that news would have hit late because I just had the sneaky suspicion that he wasn't going to play. And if he did, it wasn't going to be like that much because, like, the Nets are obviously tanking right now. They got this like secondary unit, these scrubs that they gave a ton of run in. Like I honestly don't think like D'Lo is actually like hurt at all. So I'm mad that news came early because I was way under him, if not fading him. I saw he's like one of the most popular plays on the slate, early projection wise.
Yep, definitely some early news there, and we'll obviously break down what to do with these Nets because in these situations, you got to play them, but it can be a little dicey with the guys that are the ones to play. But we'll break it down. We will talk about it. Let's get to Portland and Detroit first. And AP, of course, we got to talk about my boy Tobias Harris. 5.4K, broke the slate the other day when I was on the show against Charlotte. Had a good game against Minnesota as well. Only went up to 5,400 in a good matchup against this Portland team. Also, Cade Cunningham, he is 9-7, but he has shown ceiling performances even against Minnesota the other day. We know the shot attempts are there. He is definitely a spend, and with all these values on the slate, Cade has to be in the conversation on this slate. So those are the main Pistons guys to look at. Of course, a Duran at his price tag of 6K, that makes some sense. You can make the case for a DeAndre Ayton at 6'3" as a tournament play. You can make the case for like the Denny Avdias over the world. Since Jeremy Grant has been out, he's had some pretty good games, including 2 40-point fantasy games recently. So there are definitely plays in this first game, AP. How are you breaking down Portland and Detroit?
Yeah, we got Chauncey Billups returning back to Detroit as well. Obviously, he's the coach of the Blazers. What's interesting is, so Detroit's been a team, if you've been following along, tailing some of my bets, a popular one that I've been on consistently is Pistons side, more so when they're dogs or when it's a closer, tighter spread. Man, they've been playing really good. I think Cade has been awesome. He has some veteran guys around him, Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., even though THJ, not really relevant from a fantasy standpoint. I think just being a veteran there is really elevating this team. I hate their rotation outside of the main players, and the main players I would call like Cade, Tobias Harris right now for sure, and then Malik Beasley, who they like off the bench but gets extended run. We can't really trust Jalen Duren. Him and Isaiah Stewart continue to split minutes, and it's like, for me, it's just kind of faded right now. Even though going back to last season, I thought Jalen Duren was really good. It's interesting what they're doing with him. Whatever they're doing right now is working. So there's that. On the Portland side, something very different than what we saw last season. We're seeing a tightened rotation. We see Denny Avdia, Tamuni Kamara, Shaden Sharp, Simons. These guys are getting heavy minutes. From time to time, you see Scoot Henderson off the bench play pretty well. It's kind of hit or miss right now. Guard is loaded, like absolutely loaded on the slate. I don't think I can get to him. But Simons at 6,400, Shaden Sharp, 5,700. No Jaden Ivey, obviously, for the Pistons, I think is a huge upgrade, especially when I do the flowchart stuff, just looking at matchups. It's a big upgrade right now for combo guards, especially like Shaden Sharp. If you just think of what we likely see from the Pistons, whether it's like they start Ronald Holland, move THJ to the shooting guard position, or even Malik Beasley, like it's not going to be like a core defensive team, which kind of opens things up for the backcourt of the Blazers. So I like this game a lot. I think Shaden Sharp, very interesting play at 5,700. I think Denny Avdia, what he's doing right now, he has just such a nice role, massive minutes, 5 games in a row, 30-plus minutes. He's hit 40-plus in 3 of the last 5 games, solid usage. The opportunity is just great. And I don't think the price is probably like, he's probably right now in his role around a 7K player. He's 6,600, so you're getting a slight discount there. And I think the matchup is fine. So a game that I really like, but again, I think you want to like pick and choose your pieces carefully.
Yeah, you do have to pick and choose some of your pieces. And you called out Shaden Sharp's pretty interesting play in some of these Blazers, but like I will call out guard is good today, right? And I'm not saying you can't play those guys there, but like if I run my teams and I have like, an egregious amount, like maybe I have like 50% shade on Sharp, like that's probably too much, right? Like there are plays here that we can get to, but I just think we got to temper our expectations a little bit because of how good the guard position is. Would you agree, AP? Like guard is probably the best position on the slate today?
Yeah, I would, and I have maybe it won't be a sneaky play, but in the Mavs, I got a play that we got to confirm with Glock, and I've not talked to Glock yet, but I'm purely speculating. I'm in the $5, which I assume a lot of us probably are, and I'm going to make a stand. I don't think I'll have that news before, and obviously I won't be able to make many late swap adjustments tonight, but so I'm just speculating and I'm making a guess on a certain play, which we will definitely get to. But guard is absolutely loaded for sure.
All right, of course, we got Angela just signed up, so happy to have you. And she saw your core plays are up, AP. You're dialed in that the cores are already up on the site for people.
They probably I probably need to redo them. Actually, if you can see the core play, one of them is in there, the sneaky shooting guard play, but I have to rerun my numbers because D'Lo got ruled out, which changes things because Keon Johnson. Obviously, we'll talk about that game, but there's going to be a lot more guard plays now that we can get to.
Yes, there will be more for sure to discuss. Let's get to the next game. Let's talk about the Sixers. They are missing guys, right? Clearly a spot to like some of these plays. No Embiid. Who is going to start? Will it be Drummond? Will it be Yabusele? I assume it's Yabusele. He started a lot, and we haven't really seen Drummond start that much this year, so that is my assumption here. Doesn't mean he's like an amazing play, but at 4-3, he's solid. He's in play. He's definitely someone you can play on this slate, forward and center eligible. Of course, big bumps for usage for Paul George, for Tyrese Maxey. They are guys we want to consider getting to. I think Paul George will get a little more ownership than a Tyrese Maxey because of the positions and the salary. Maxey is 8-6 in this matchup against Phoenix. Paul George, 7-1. Feels kind of cheap for him, especially with all the usage he's going to get. So for me, I kind of rank it George 1, Maxey 2, but I could make the case to have Yabusele 2. And then I don't hate Caleb Martin at 4-8, but there's better plays, I think, at the position. That's the Sixers side. The Phoenix side of the ball, listen, I'm not super excited about too much here. They are missing Royce O'Neal, but they're fully healthy for the most part, right? KD, Booker, Beal, Nurkic, Tyus Jones. They got Grayson Allen. They have Plumlee. They have Dunn, who will come off the bench and do his thing. Like, I don't know. I don't see myself getting to the Suns here. You could make the case in tournaments. Kevin Durant at his price tag of 9-3 is always in play. Devin Booker at 8-8. Could he get 60 DK points? Yeah, sure, he could. But these guys are not priority plays to me. AP, how about you?
Yeah, I was, on and over in this game. And actually, I still like it. For me, the key in this game, Tyrese Maxey is going to help to push the pace. The Suns, obviously, a team that's really struggled defensively, which is why they've made some of these adjustments. Not ideal from when you're targeting an over, but 220. Actually, I got a 222. Obviously, before the Embiid news, I went with Embiid. I always check. I'm like, all right, is it a front end or back end of a back to back? No. Okay. Does he have a questionable status? He does, but there's usually a chance if it's not a back to back situation that he plays. And obviously, he got ruled out. But we got Tyrese Maxey, we got Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, 3 guys that can really get us there from an over standpoint. For Philly, it's really Paul George. I think his price now, and what's important here is his positional flexibility. You can plug him in at the small forward position or the forward position, which frees up that priority guard position where we talked about. There's just a lot of really good plays. So from a positional flexibility standpoint, and Embiid is a guy that just commands a ton of usage. Like now it's going to be absorbed by Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. So those are 2 things that really enhance him as a play. I like both of those guys. I think maybe the sneaky one that could go overlooked and is tougher is Kelly Oubre, assuming he's not on any restrictions. He's had some nice games alongside Tyrese Maxey and Paul George when Embiid is sitting. One of them was against the Blazers. Again, it's going to be hard to get there because that's a position that is just loaded. On the other side, I do think Kevin Durant and Devin Booker may be slightly a little bit better with Beal and Nurkic coming off the bench. It might be enough to put them in play. I think more so in 150 max, large field type of tournaments because I'm not showing a lot of ownership on them. So I did keep Kevin Durant specifically in my pool. Devin Booker a little bit tougher because the guard position is loaded like we talked about. But again, it's not like I'm trying to build around these guys or this game outside of the Philly side in Paul George and Tyrese Maxey.
All right. Sylvester saying that Beal on the bench and Dunn starting. I thought my opinion on if Dunn starts, right, he's not closing, right? That's kind of the issue. The only way he would close is if they went super small ball lineups. And just on this slate, it doesn't feel correct, right? There's just a lot of really good plays. So he's not this priority guy. If you got last guy in and you liked everything else, I wouldn't completely hate it, but not necessary for me. Anyways, yeah. Phoenix, I don't know if they're a dumpster fire, but it's not great over there, right? No one's picking them to win the title. No one really believes in them, I think. So, yeah, not a big fan of this Phoenix Suns team. We'll see if they get Jimmy Butler. That'll be interesting to see as the deadline creeps up. Let's keep moving this thing along. Let's get on over to Indiana-Brooklyn, the game we got to talk about, the game that AP has to adjust his cores with. My cores are still not up. Well, that's why my cores aren't up, because, hey, news was still flying. I'm waiting for it to come through and figure it out. This game also.
Mangone, I found with this show and Up to Lock, it's easier to at least get a baseline core up and then adjust as the news hits instead of adjusting while we're on the show. So that's one reason why I do it on Mondays, but obviously don't have my FanDuel stuff up yet.
I need to start doing that a little bit better too, but because sometimes the time just creeps up. So like the slate builder. I was almost forgetting I have to do the slate builder. I've been pretty good about putting up the chalky cores at that. Miss it here and there, but it's only when I'm on up the lock whenever I miss it. But let's also Michael Lorenzen to the Royals. AP does that get the flag out? You running around with the flag right now?
I mean, it's hard to get me excited about baseball right now. I'm so locked in on NBA and obviously NFL. So I did not see that. I definitely did not see that, but we'll get there. We will get there with baseball.
Yeah. Well, the news just came out, so don't worry. It just happened. So you are good. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets, though. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be tough to completely figure out. For one, Keon Johnson at 5'3", he is a great play, right? He is going to play 30 to 40 minutes, probably more in that mid 34, 36 range, but he's going to play a ton of minutes playing against Indiana. You got this guy, Reese Beekman. Can't speak much about him, but he is there. He's a guard. Then you have Zaire Williams, 5'2". You got Tyrese Martin, who's definitely shown upside at times. You got Dariq Whitehead, who was recalled from the G League today, so he can play guard minutes. Obviously, starters are going to be super important. That's another thing to watch for today. I think that's a good thing to call out. Then at the 3, you can play Zaire at the 3 if you want. It's a little bit positionless basketball at this team. You can play Jalen Williams. They can play Tyrese Martin. They could also play Tosan Evbunwan. I think he played for Memphis last year, a lot at the 4.
Keep going.
I am.
I wouldn't even attempt to say this guy's name. So
yeah, we got Noah Clowney who can play the 4. Jalen Wilson can play the 4. They can both play the 5 as well. So can Mr. Ebumwam, whatever you say his name, and Nick Claxton at the 5. Clowney and then Day'Ron Sharpe. So you assume Day'Ron Sharpe and Claxton split up the 5, right? Then you think the 4 gets split from Clowney, Wilson, and Mr. I'm going to call him by his first name, Tosan. So Mr. Tosan. They kind of split the 4. Jalen Wilson also could go to the 3. Then you have Tyrese Martin and Zaire playing the 3 and the 2. Then you have Keon playing the 1 and the 2. Tyrese can also play the 2, and then Whitehead at the 2. And then you got Keon and Beekman at the 1. Maybe Beekman can go to the 2. I don't think he can. He seems kind of short. But point I'm getting at is there's more guys here, I think, than people realize. I'm not saying you shouldn't play Nets tonight, but I do think loading up on Nets is a little concerning. I don't think I want 4 of them. So, AP, I think Keon Johnson is the best Nets play at 5'3". He would be my number 1 option.
I agree.
The best one. Now, I want to know the starting lineup. The starting lineup is very important for these decisions. For instance, Tyrese Martin and Zaire Williams. One nice thing is they are forward eligible. They're not guard eligible. I mean, they're both. They're forward and guard eligible. But it seems like guards, we have a lot of good guys. Cole Anthony, who's now starting, who we'll talk about, and a bunch of other options. But Zaire and Tyrese, if one of them starts, they're going to be even stronger plays. Jalen Wilson at 4-5. I think he'll be a pretty strong play. Noah Clowney, I think if he is starting, people will definitely like him a little bit. I don't know exactly what I'll do with him. And then Claxton, the only issue I have with him is he is 6'2". And 6'2" isn't my favorite price tag on this slate, especially if you worry about the blowout. But I think I did a pretty good job of kind of giving a roadmap of how this team looks and how we want to play them, AP. I'm curious how you're kind of playing this Brooklyn side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you gave a fantastic breakdown. Pacers side, very frustrating. But with the Nets, one way to tackle a situation like this, you hit on it. They do. It's not like a situation where they're forced to, run out 7 dudes, and that's all we'll see. I do worry about more so like the Nick Claxtons of the group. I think Tyrese Martin off the bench is interesting. Day'Ron Sharpe as a value, I think is very interesting. I think Keon Johnson, probably the best play among the group. Indy's been pretty good defensively, so there is some concern here, but it's just a pricing, a forced rotation. Like, you're going to see some of these guys hit value. One way to tackle it is to set a rule, 2 or 3 max, and then over project them as a team, but then put caps on each player. So what you're doing is you're like forcing in these guys. You're not going to be locked in on any single one of them, but you're going to be overweight. And it's not like you're going to have too many of them in your lineups. It's something you could do in the $5 today. And you're trying to pick and choose. You're trying to pick perfectly the combination where you'll get a lot of ceiling. And honestly, it's like, who's going to be that guy if I had to guess? Keon Johnson, just because of his role and how he plays. I love what I saw from Tyrese Martin last game. He took like 19 or something shots off the bench, really strong usage rate. We also saw that against the Spurs and against Miami earlier on in the season. So I do think it's a guy that can get in there and cook.
AP, he got in foul trouble. There was this one game where he was like amazing. He made like 8 threes in a row, something crazy. Started, then got in foul trouble. He was super chalky. I'm not saying you can't play him because I'm going to like him, but I think if he's lower owned off the bench, he's great. If he's starting, that's great, but depends what his ownership is as it moves up, right? Like, I think he's a very like ownership dependent play, if that makes sense, AP, since he's so shot dependent.
Yeah. If we think there's a chance that they can keep it close, like, you have to figure Halliburton or Mathurin, one of these guys, like, would get there. It's the Pacers have been, in my opinion, one of the toughest teams from a DFS standpoint to truly break down. Because I can see scenarios too where Carlisle gives, Drace Walker, Ben Shepherd, these other guys, extended run in that second unit. Same with Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell. And so I think on the Pacers side, you could see a wider rotation. So the question is like in tournaments, can Halliburton get there in 28, 30 minutes? He could. Guards loaded, but he definitely could at this price. He's starting to play a lot better. We've seen it back-to-back, 54, 72, 51 versus Boston. Siakam is the guy that's just tough, man. I love this matchup for him, but he hasn't shown like any type of ceiling at all. It's been absolutely ridiculous. And then the Miles Turner, with Miles Turner, I always leave him in my pool from a tournament standpoint, but he's another guy that's just, boom bust, more so bust than boom. And then there's Nembhard, who I don't know. I don't know if I can get there. I mean, it's like sometimes he has the rock in his hand and you see crazy games from him, and then other times it's Halliburton's game. So like those are two that I'd never play together. I usually create a rule. It's like Halliburton or Nembhard. You rarely see them both go off in the same game. So obviously prefer the Nets side. If you want to Galaxy brain it, run it back with a few pieces from Indy. You definitely need the Nets to keep this one close, which, Vegas obviously doesn't think will happen.
Yeah. Another thing to note, you talk about Siakam. He is at least 6'9". The way I look at these Pacers, like Siakam at 6'9", Turner at 6'4", and like Halliburton 8'4", I think we all see scenarios like, hey, could they have ceiling games if this game stays close? Yes. But like, if I run my teams and I have like, if I'm doing a 3 max, I want max of 1 if I play any. And if you're playing the $5 day and MMEing, if I see I have like 30-40% of one of these guys, I don't like it. I'm going to make an adjustment to the projections because of that. So that's something I would at least call out when kind of handling them. There are guys that you could totally see making a winning lineup. You want them in the pool, but they're not these must-haves. By the way, Kelly Oubre, he is now available, so that is a big piece of news. And I actually think that makes him a little bit of an interesting play in that game. His price tag is, what is it? Why can't I find it? There it is, 5.2. So pretty good price tag for him in that spot. Also, we did get starting lineup for the Magic. It's Cole Anthony, KCP, De Silva, Houston, and Goga. So you got that starting lineup out there. Let's go over to Milwaukee and Toronto and break that one down. We got Andre Jackson available, so that was news. Drummond's out. That must have just hit.
Drummond's out too. So
Drummond out is big. That's huge for Yabusele, right? Like that's got to be massive for him.
Is he really out? Why? I'm looking at the wrong thing.
That's what people are saying. Yeah, I think I just saw it. Yeah, he's here. Underdog said he's out.
He is out. Wow.
So that
we can touch that. We can touch back on that game after we get through.
Yeah. We'll touch on that at the end a little bit. I do think it boosts Yabusele a bit. Could even help put Paul George to the 4, Oubre to the 3, or maybe Oubre to the 4. Right? That's some more small.
Right. Boost Caleb Martin too.
Yeah. Like those wings, right? In the positionless basketball.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. Let's get to Milwaukee and Toronto. I talked about on one of the recent shows, like these price tags are just too high on these guys, and these guys were out for a while, right? Like I don't want to spend money on Portis, Middleton, Brook Lopez at 5.5. You could make a case for, but not on this slate for me. Dame at 8.7. I don't want him. Giannis makes sense. I think he's a good play against Toronto, especially if this game stays close. I think a good debate tonight is Giannis or Wemby. AP, is it Giannis or Wemby for you, and what are you doing with this game?
Why not both? Why not both of them?
Point. You could definitely make both out.
Because, I honestly had, when I did my first run, I had Embiid in there. I had Giannis. I had Wemby. Now it's all of those shares are just going to go onto Giannis, Wemby, mixing and matching. I mean, there's just an enormous amount of value plays on this slate. And I don't know. I guess the argument against that is the spend up guards might be contrarian on the slate. The Cade Cunninghams, Jalen Brunson. I love this match. Like, if you think about this matchup against Orlando, it's much different now. They're still tough on bigs, but if Cat's out, like Jalen Brunson could absolutely go ham. So I do think there are some contrarian paths, but like the safest route, Giannis and Wemby, and there's plenty of value to make it work. So it's like, if you're in a pinch tonight, just do that. And I don't know, I'd feel pretty good about that path. But this game specifically, what I like about Milwaukee, when we talk about like teams and predictable target share using like NFL terms, the Bucks are pretty predictable right now. It's Giannis and Dame when Middleton's out. These scrub pieces, I don't typically pay a lot of attention to. Lopez not getting a ton of run. Sure, Bobby Portis can come in and steal some from Giannis, but it's like, we're probably going to see Prince start potentially. Gary Trent comes off the bench, gets a little bit of run. AJ Green has been fine, but really it's Dame Lillard and Giannis. And just watching like the Raptors, especially watching them live when Scotty Barnes was in there, man, he's constantly pushing in transition. In that game that I watched, Quickly was obviously not playing, but he's someone that does that as well. So this is a Toronto team that's going to push the pace. Quickly, especially when he's in there, he's going to be pushing the pace, and you have to against the Bucks. If you want to create any type of advantage for yourself, you got to play with a lot of pace and play in transition. So I think I put a bet on the Toronto side earlier in the day before the Middleton news. I think they keep this game close, and I think it's due to now Scotty is really tough to play at that price, but Emmanuel Quickly, I think it's a perfect bounce back spot for him. I think he's going to be a really nice play in that upper mid range at 7K. Jakob Poeltl, and is RJ Barrett, did he get ruled in?
I believe he did. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I really like Toronto to keep this one close tonight. Maybe sneaky upset spot. They're far more healthier, but think about what that does in games where go back towards Giannis basically carrying the team, getting these wins. I mean, he put up monster scores. I think he's going to be a priority play tonight. And if you're not playing him, it's probably Dame, or like the Raptors are, blowing him out, which I don't. I mean, it's the NBA. Anything can happen, but I don't see that happening. So Giannis for sure. I think Dame is very much in play. And on the other side, I like Quickly, but it is a little bit more difficult with everyone healthy. So it's more so Toronto side healthy. It elevates the viability of Giannis and Dame.
Yeah, we got 4 games left to discuss. Question in the chat, Zaire or Kelly Oubre? I would say Kelly Oubre. Do you agree there, AP?
Or Zaire Williams?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Zaire, just because you can play him at the small forward position, if I was directly going between the two.
Yeah, that is fair. I'm still assuming Kelly Oubre has that small forward eligibility, but he is at shooting guard. So, yeah, I think that's fair. And also, he's got to start, right? If Zaire doesn't start, that's pretty concerning. So that would be a worry of mine. We will see what the Nets do. I'm assuming he starts, but you just don't know. Let's get to Orlando and New York, which actually, let's skip Orlando and New York. I think that makes sense. We'll circle back to them at the end of the show. Does that make sense, AP, with the cat news? Maybe hoping we get something update here soon.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Let's get to San Antonio and Chicago. Clearly, we like Wemby. We talked about it. You got to debate him versus Giannis. It's definitely a decision point on this slate. Chicago, they're missing Ayo DeSumo, but they're fairly healthy with Levine there at 8-2, Giddey 7-7, Kobe White 6-9. It's just these prices are just too high in my opinion. Now the matchup is good against the Spurs. You got Devin Vassell at 6-1, Chris Paul 6K. They can definitely show upside in these spots, but I mean the main guy I'm looking at is Wemby, and I'm not trying to get too much exposure to this game. AP, how about you?
Yeah, I think this game is actually pretty easy. With Wemby playing like he is, he like just commands so much. It makes it very difficult for these other players to kind of hit their ceilings. So like Keldon Johnson becomes really tough when Wemby's in there. Very tough click off the bench. Shohan is fine, but again, the ball's in Wemby's hand. So for me, it's Wemby, and in any of my non-Wemby lineups, I'm probably then looking at Devin Vassell, Jeremy Shohan, even like a Harrison Barnes. But I can't get to Harrison Barnes. We just have too many other better value plays. So I have a ton of Wemby tonight. I'm sure everyone else has a ton of Wemby tonight. I was on those Wemby Jokic slates, man, going. I was very surprised in the flagship how high Jokic and Wemby were. Like Jokic was like over 50% in the flagship contest. Like, did that surprise you at all? It just means the field's getting sharper, obviously, and you just kind of have to go in on those plays.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely isn't. He was a good play, but you can mix and match your stuff. I think a lot of the field condenses on plays sometimes in NBA at the top. We did get the lineup. It's Maxey, Oubre, George, Caleb Martin, and Yabusele. Also, I don't know if I trust that yet, but we'll see. It looks like the Suns. Do we have that lineup? The Suns could be starting Grayson Allen over Tyus. That's something to monitor, but I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Let's get to Dallas and Memphis. Dallas and Memphis is definitely a game to monitor because, hey, Desmond Bane, 8.1K. If he's out, I mean, usage has to go somewhere, right, AP? I mean, it's got to.
Yeah, he's not playing tonight.
And I agree. I don't think he's playing. And if he's not playing, Jaren Jackson at 9-1, that feels ridiculous, but I don't think it's ridiculous. He has the upside. I think he's a good play. I think it's going to help and benefit one of these ball handlers. Is that ball handler Scottie Pippen at 6'2"? Is it Jalen Wells handling a little bit more at 5'3"? Could you see Conchar maybe handle or get a little bit more minutes? For me, I feel pretty confident it's just going to be Scottie getting a lot more usage funneled his way, and some others will benefit a little bit. Maybe it is a Jake LaRavia. I could see him getting a little bit more time with the second unit and show some upside. So there are clearly plays. Maybe Memphis Doug is in the chat and can help us out, as Brittany says. Where is Memphis Doug? Maybe AP's got some opinions that can help us out from talking with him. And, of course, we have the Dallas side of the ball. Luka and Kyrie both out. I know Hardy, he was pretty good the other day and kind of stole some minutes. We'll see if he steals that starting spot away from Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie is 6'5", PJ 6'5", Clay is 6K, Grimes 5'5". Some of those prices have adjusted. So it's really a spot where I like Memphis way more than I like Dallas. Do you agree there, AP?
Yeah, so Jaden Hardy against the Cavs, and it's not like it was a blowout. This was a close game. He got the start in the second half over Spencer Dinwiddie, who then checked in. I mean, Jaden Hardy looked really good, at least from a fantasy standpoint. Not so good in the plus-minus, but I don't know. I don't always just look at that. But I think, like, if Hardy starts, I mean, we might not get – this was the news that I was speculating on. Now, I could not be that you know, I could be risk-averse, and I could just play the Cole Anthonys, the Keon Johnsons of the world and you know, play it safe. Maybe Lonzo Ball, who's been really good off the bench. But Jaden Hardy, we've seen what he can do. He gets in there and he chucks. He definitely has legit upside. I kind of like him more than Spencer Dinwiddie, too. Dinwiddie's game, I don't know. His game's boring to me. I will say, like, this Grizzlies team has been tough. No matter who's out and who's in. This team Jenkins has this team playing really tough right now. I like their kind of scrub dudes around Jaren Jackson. They still play like the rotation is still very difficult. Outside of Jalen Wells, he's been the guy that's consistently getting 30+. I think the important news is Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard, you can play him at the small forward, shooting guard position. Just pull up his box score. The guy's been absolutely incredible. I mean, he's coming off a 7 or an 8 rebound, 9 assist game. 7 rebound, 4 assist game before that. So the guy's not only hitting shots, he's creating as well. And I think the matchup's going to be fine. So I think that's some key late swap news to kind of keep an eye on. If he gets ruled in, I can't imagine him getting a lot of ownership. And even if he comes off the bench, we've seen him have a really strong role. So keep an eye on Luke Kennard and the news around him. If he plays.
He just got ruled in pretty recently, AP.
Okay, there you go. So, yeah, he is in. All right, 10 minutes ago. I missed that news. Maybe hits slightly. Like, I really like Jake LaRavia. Maybe a slight hit to him. I think it's also potentially a slight hit to Scottie Pippen, who, with Bane out, I'm like, yeah, Scottie Pippen should have a really nice role. But if you just look at it, it's been a long time since he's played over 30 minutes. Maybe they let Luke Kennard get in there and, run point guard for a bit. I mean, this Grizzlies team can go one of many different ways. But I think Luke Kennard is going to end up being a really nice tournament play. Coming off the bench, should keep ownership down. So, and Brandon Clark, too. I actually like – so this is Brandon Clark starting alongside Jaren Jackson. Terrible, like absolutely terrible, super tilting. Coming off the bench in those non-Jaren Jackson minutes, he's awesome. You see more rebounds, more scoring opportunities, and a lot more like putback opportunities. And obviously the guy is just an absolute athletic freak. But at 3,900, you can play him at the power forward position. He's one of my favorite value plays, sub 4K value plays on the slate.
Yep, for sure. Let's keep moving things along. Let's get to Clippers and Minnesota, and then we'll obviously circle back to the Knicks. I do think this game, it's got Kawhi Leonard back, so he's 7-9. He obviously only played 19 minutes. Problem we're going to have, I think, with this Clippers team is they're, trying to find themselves again. Right now that you added someone like Kawhi, it's going to muddy up things. Prices are up. Zubac is 7-8. Zubac in the matchup against Gobert, yes, they'll need him, but I don't want to play Zubac here in this spot. Feels like a spot to just get off of some of these guys, even James Harden at 8-9. I don't love that. Minnesota and Edwards, he definitely hasn't had his greatest season, but he had a big game the other night against the Pistons. He also has said he's kind of sick of passing, right? I'm sick of passing, and he put up 31 points the last game. Would not be shocked to see him shoot a ton of other shots again. So at 8-5, he's the one tournament play I don't mind. As DC said on a show recently, Naz Reid at 4-7 is pretty much always in play just because of the upside he has. Just got to ride the waves where it's like an up and down experience. So I think I'm really only looking at Naz Reid or Ant Edwards for me, AP. How about you?
Yeah, this is one game that I can be short on. I like what we've seen in Ant Edwards. I hope that continues. And I think I'm not too worried about the slow projected pace of this game. It's how the Wolves play anyway. They play a lot of ISO ball and just, in the half court. And that's fine. Like Ant is little, pull up 3-pointer. I mean, he hits them at one of the highest clips in the league. So more of that, I think he can get it done. Doesn't mean it's going to translate into wins, especially when Randall's not playing any defense. I don't know. I don't have to worry about that. That's something Wolves have to worry about as we head into the latter half of the season. So for me, it's Ant, and I don't see myself playing probably anyone from the Clippers side.
Yeah, I agree. I don't need to play anyone from that Clippers side. I don't think it's necessary. Again, fire your questions in the chat. I always like to say fire them in early so that way we can answer them later on. We don't have to really think too much. We don't have to worry. And we can just kind of put them up on the screen. Prep asks, anyone like Jet Howard? I do not think it's a Jet Howard night, AP. I think it's the wrong night to play someone like Jet Howard. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm not playing Jet Howard. Is he starting?
I don't think he was. No, he's not starting.
Let's go back to I think this game is a lot more important now. No Drummond. I think that helps my overs bet. No slow Drummond in there, flat-footed.
Yeah. Go back to that, and then we'll keep waiting for the Knicks stuff. So I think Yabusele is a really good play. I think it also helps some usage for guys like Paul George, Maxey. So I don't think there's plenty.
Paul George just has to be. So like Paul George, the positional flexibility, I already like that. I just think we've seen upside. 58 against Charlotte, 49 against Sacramento. We know we know at least he's shown some, like he might be dusty, but he's had 3 50+ games at least in the last 40 days. I would say that's a positive. Those games likely came. I know 2 of them came without Embiid on the court. Again, another thing. I also think, Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey are far more in play as well.
Yeah.
Who's the other big? Oh, Bona. See, DC skipping out on shows, and he can't even talk about his boy Bona.
I did not know that was DC's boy.
I don't think that guy's in play. The guy's definitely not in play, but it's Caleb Martin and Yabusele that I think I would bump up slightly.
Again, I can see this game just going a little bit smaller, right? KD at the 5, and I just could see that happening a little bit. So that's kind of my thought process on how to handle it. I think it's going to be more of those wings we talked about, like the Georges, Caleb Martins, Yabusele. That's just my kind of take on it, and I think that's the right way to attack it. Let's get to the Knicks and talk about them, AP, Orlando, and the Knicks. And, I mean, big spot is Cole Anthony at 4.9, right? I think he is a great option on this slate that you can consider. I know Trevelin Queen has flashed some forms of upside in spots. I don't think I'm doing it today, but I get it. Cole Anthony seems like the guy, though. I know he's been good in the Garden as well, so you got that narrative going on. Of course, you got the Cat stuff. If Cat is ruled out, man, that would really adjust some stuff. It would make me think, hey, this go OG or Bridges at the 5 they want to. I assume they would go with Precious starting or Sims and kind of stick with that to kind of match with the Goga stuff. And then Goga could absolutely print in this spot at 7.3. If you have no Cat, that's got to be great for someone like Goga, who has shown flashes of upside. Yes, he can have his downside at 7.3, but he definitely has upside still at that price. So, AP, talk about what you're doing here with Orlando and the Knicks.
Yeah, so obviously the Cat, I do think Cat is – so I don't think Deuce plays, just speculating there, but, I mean, he's been questionable and hasn't played. And Cat, like, I don't know. I mean, usually – you see a Q tag on a Thibs guy, it's like, yeah, he's going to play. I think there's a realistic chance. I still don't know. So obviously, like, Precious would become a much better play, and he's very cheap. It's still such a bad matchup. I think what it does for me is it gives me a lot of interest in Jalen Brunson. I don't mind the matchup a little bit more. If you think about the Magic, so like my concern with Cole Anthony, if he's not hitting shots, Orlando could go full defensive. Now, Anthony Black was available, didn't play yesterday, which, again, I'm not saying play Anthony Black. This is not the slate to do that. There's plenty of other guard value. What I'm saying is if the Magic decide to go all in on kind of a defensive game plan, you get Cole Anthony out of the game. It hurts you from a scoring standpoint, but you don't have to hide him against this Knicks team, which, again, I assume that the Knicks are going to attack Cole Anthony all game. So, and that would be Jalen Brunson switching, get Jalen Brunson that matchup on Cole Anthony, and Jalen Brunson would cook. So I like Jalen Brunson. I think he's a sneaky tournament play, not a fast pace game, not a high total. Again, Brunson in the right games where he is just, balling, like he's matchup proof. And obviously that helps if Cat's out of this game. So that's another situation to just monitor and keep an eye on as a pivot to. So what are you doing with Cole Anthony? Like, I don't think he's a guy I can just lock. I was debating locking or being in line with the field on him. I just think guard's too loaded for me to lock someone like him that does have a lot of volatility in his game.
I think he's a really good play. I think he is one of the better guards on this slate, and I'll be very overweight on it. I won't have 100%, but I think he's really good. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I feel pretty strong about it too. I just think you have to, and he's got that shooting guard eligibility. So does Keon Johnson, for what it's worth. Tyrese Martin does too, but like, I think that's going to be important. Knowing Tyrese Martin's status, is he starting? Because if Tyrese Martin doesn't start, AP, you're going to like Cole Anthony way more, right?
Yeah.
Or like a Zaire. Yeah. Like, I think that starting lineup hinges on what you do. But right now, I have a lot of Cole Anthony.
I like Tyrese Martin either way because small forward, and I'm assuming, which does get me into trouble at times. I'll admit that. But I'm assuming that that Indy's going to take care of business and that he's going to get garbage time run. He's going to get second unit run. I just struggle to see situations where he isn't getting quite a bit of run there. So,
yeah, I I definitely get it. I think they need Cole Anthony's offense. I don't think the offense moves without him. Like they have all these spot up shooter guys. So I like him too much. I'll definitely be fairly overweight on him. I don't know if Yabusele is a lock in single entry, but I think he's good. Do you have a take on the cat stuff, AP?
Man, I think it's a true questionable situation. I don't have a strong take. I know if he gets ruled out that those guys are going to see a really tight rotation, which just makes me like Brunson even more.
Yeah, I mean, Brunson would be a sick play for sure. He'd go back to his old self, right? I know Brunson's had moments this year, but without Cat, he just goes back to playing, basically 5-out basketball and just dribble. He either drives or he kicks it and someone gets the job done. So that's another thing to definitely watch for here on this slate. We'll get the questions. We'll fire those away. Let's see what we can find. Yabu or Hardy straight up? I would say Yabu without knowing he's starting. AP, do you have opinion based on if he's starting or not?
I think, yeah, if you're going straight up, if you can wait, I love the idea of waiting for this news. And I do think at that price range, 4,500 for Hardy, there's other options that you can pivot to in that price range. So like my take would be to wait if you can for that news, because I do think that there is a decent chance. I mean, maybe you could find a way to get up to Luke Kennard. I think he's going to be a fine play. And yeah, so if Jaden Hardy starts, I mean, man, he's going to be like, he can't get any ownership right now. Like there's no way that you can, like, outside of pure speculating, that you can just jam him in with Cole Anthony, Keon Johnson, the spin up, like even Lonzo Ball, I think is a fine play. So like Hardy just cannot get owned. But again, if he gets announced as a starter, he's gonna get what, 30 plus minutes, and he chucks when he's in there. So I don't know. If you can wait it out, there's always going to be other pivots. That would be my advice over like just jamming in Yabu. Like Van Gogh, what's Yabu going to be up?
He'll be very high owned. And I mean, I currently have him in my core, but I think he's a very good play. But yeah, the call out is if Cat misses, that will open up some stuff that other people might not be able to access. And one reason why they won't be able to access those bigs is because they're already playing those guards. So sure, they could adjust their lineups, but right now everyone's paying for either Wemby or Giannis, and then they're going down at guard. So that will give you a different construction if you do decide to wait. But also understand, if you do wait, what are you playing if the news doesn't go your way? I think that's a very important thing to kind of navigate. All right, let's get to questions. Giddey or White? I would, in this matchup, I would lean probably Josh Giddey. What about you, AP?
Yeah, I think Kobe White, but like the Bulls, they're healthy. If you think about, you're not going to get easy buckets in the paint. So like Kobe White is a tournament play because you're hoping he gets hot from the outside. It's the same argument with Zach LaVine. So I don't love that game for a guy like Giddey as much. I just think it's going to be tougher to get those, easy assists, easy boards. So it'd definitely be Kobe White, but I don't love the Chicago side.
Okay. Yabu or Hardy? Yabu for me.
Oh yeah, Yabu is just going to be. Guys, is it crazy that I don't love him as a play?
No, I mean there's a lot of good plays, right? It's
totally man, I know. I'm sure I'll learn a lesson, but I have him and Caleb. I don't know. I don't like him any more than I probably got to readjust my stuff. Are you over 50% on Yabu?
I don't know because I haven't reran it since then. So, but I know I'll have a lot for sure. Although I might make a little bit of adjustments to some projections just because I kind of want to take advantage of the news if Cat somehow misses.
Yeah.
So I might make some adjustments to some Knicks here as we kind of get closer and closer. But that's something I'm still figuring out. LaVine or PG? I think it's PG by a mile. What's your thoughts, AP?
Yeah, Paul George by quite a bit.
All right. I'm going to run my FanDuel stuff now. RJ Barrett on a minutes limit. he's not a priority at all at that price. I don't actually think he's a good DFS play. What do you think, JP?
No, I don't think you can play RJ Barrett. I think the Toronto guys, even quickly, are tougher plays now. But if I were playing any of them, it would definitely be quickly.
Yeah. Tyrese Martin or Alonzo, I think it's clearly Tyrese.
Yep.
AP? Yeah. I think that's pretty obvious. Would you consider playing all three of Oubre, Maxey, George? No, I would probably play 2 of 3, if that makes sense. Also, Falik is locking Yabusele. So there you go. That's a little insight.
He's definitely a really good play. I have a lot more now.
There's a lot of good plays on this slate, so it's tough.
But I don't think I can lock him though.
I don't think you need to lock him. So
yeah, I'll probably end up underweight. Congrats to Falik. The slate's yours.
All right, DC isn't here, so we should load up on Tobias Harris. That's true. Load up on Tobias. Donovan is fading the Brooklyn trash team. AP, how much Brooklyn's too much Brooklyn? That's a good question to ask.
I think you cap it at like 2 or 3. Like I don't think you want to jam in 4. I think you cap it at 2 or 3, and I feel pretty good about that. And you play the mix and match game. Yeah,
I think that's good as well. I want to see how much Yabo I'm getting on FanDuel. Let's see. I'm getting not a lot on FanDuel actually right now. So
I'll get owned. I got like 38% Yabu.
Yeah. I'm debating if
I'll be last. I'm fine. Someone has to finish last. Might as well be me.
I'm debating if I want to make some mega adjustments to.
I've 70% Cole Anthony, and I want to puke. I know he's a good play. It's Cole Anthony.
Yeah, I mean,
did you say you got 100%?
No, I don't have 100. I mean, when I ran it before, I had 86 on DK, which I like. But the good news is I can
72% Keon Johnson.
I know you're leaving the house, so it's a little bit tougher. I like how I can make I can make Knicks adjustments with that, right? So that's like one factor I'm kind of thinking through. I am debating on really upping my Knicks so I can make the adjustments. Like I currently have no Knicks. I'm not saying that's bad. I can easily move other stuff around, but that's something I'm thinking about right now. So
are you locking Wemby?
No, I mean not locking him. I currently have more Giannis than Wemby though. I put him in my core, so I think Giannis against Toronto is pretty insane spot. I'm not saying Wemby's not either. They're both the clear best plays though, right? Like no doubt. So it's kind of why.
Yeah.
You got, and that's why the build's going to be the way it is, right? It's going to obviously spend up for some of these guys. So, yeah, I am definitely going to make some adjustments to some of my Knicks stuff. I wish we had the news now, but we're not getting it. Let's try to get back to some of these questions.
How much Jaren Jackson you got?
A lot on both sides. He's a very good play. More on FanDuel specifically. He's a lot better over there with his eligibility and his price tag. Obviously, 9-1's pretty expensive. If you play Jaren Jackson, like it's hard to get Jaren Jackson with, like you can get one of Wemby or Giannis, but like then you have no more studs to spend on, right? You're probably not getting the Paul Georges and some of these other guys. It's a little bit tougher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So, Tobias or Wells?
Jaden Hardy can't be owned. I just reran my stuff and
no, he's not.
I had such an aggressive like projection on him, and it went to like 0, and I don't care. I'm betting on the situation.
Yeah,
in a $5 contest. So
yeah, I like the idea of betting on a situation you think that you got. It's funny. I was messing with Saber right now. And they said the projections adjusted at 7 p.m. They said at 7, they were already, the ownership was done, which is funny.
Well, I can look through questions now. I just get my stuff in.
Yeah, Hardy or Jalen Wilson? Definitely Jalen Wilson for me.
Yeah, Jalen Wilson until we get that news, and obviously we're going to be waiting.
Yeah, I think Denny's a really good play. What's your thoughts on Denny, AP?
Yeah, I think Avdia, really good play. His role's really nice right now. I think his ownership has to come down just a little bit. So, yeah, I definitely like Denny.
All right, with you on that. I'm putting adjustments to these Knicks right now. So let me. Can you take over the questions?
Yeah,
AP?
yep, I got them.
I just want to do some Knicks
Cards
adjustments
in.
on both stuff.
Denny are waiting for news. I think you go Denny. The Blazers, as we said, they are running a really tight rotation right now. Plays of the day. I mean, kind of difficult at this point. We'll get to that though if we can. Unless you had one off the top of your head, Mangone.
I'm gonna go with. No, I don't have one off the top of my head. It's tough. It's definitely tough right now. There's just so much news that's changing, and I have a different opinion now about the Knicks stuff and how to take advantage of that. And I think that's going to be a big key for me on this slate. But
yeah. Malik Beasley starting. We already got that news. Obviously a good play. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think you unless you have some lineups that you're fine just potentially thrown away in the trash. I think you reserve a few for a potential Jaden Hardy start. If you I always like to imagine it like this. What if we had the news right now and we had all the pieces of the news of the slate? What if Jaden Hardy was announced as the starter and we had that news right now? What would his ownership be? Those are the type of questions that I'm asking. And now, is it safer to go in on the news that we already have? Yeah, but if you're multi-entering and you want to build in some potential swap equity, that's something that you can do, and that's why I'm hesitant to go all in on Cole Anthony and some of these other plays.
I'll give you a forward as a play of the day, Paul George. I think Paul George is I think he's an insanely good play. So I still should get a lot based on the Knicks adjustments I made, but I definitely had a lot of Paul George, and I love it. But I want to make sure I have the ability to grab Mikal Bridges and OG. Yeah, Tobias is good too. Tobias
or Wells, he was asking.
Yeah, I think I would go Tobias for what it's worth. I made my adjustments and I didn't get that many more Knicks, but oh well, not much I can do. I made adjustments. Tried my best.
Do you have a lot of Day'Ron Sharpe?
I did the FanDuel one. I don't know about the DK one, so I can tell you once I finish that up. We got 3 minutes, so yeah, I'll get the DraftKings one in this second.
I'm curious if K Falix in the chat, if you're playing your boy Jake LaRavia, somehow have quite a bit of him. I mean, overweight the field. I have 20%, which is
I actually think LaRavia is a good play. I actually do.
He's awesome off the bench.
He's
so
risky
good.
though. He's risky. Yeah. You understand he's not as great, but you're going to get him at no ownership. So I don't think he's bad. Denny Oubre or PG and Jalen Wilson. I lean PG, Jalen Wilson. What about you, AP?
PG side.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Let's see. Any other questions? Fire them away. I think we've hit most of them. Do you have a play of the day, AP, or no? Not really. It's tough.
Yeah, I want to. It's tough because I don't want anyone going all in on it. I feel like Jaden Hardy's going to get the start. So and he just chucks when he's out there. So, but there's already so many good plays in that price range. Does it even make sense to from a risk reward standpoint? It's not like it's the easiest matchup in the world. I liked it better before a lot of this news. So again, probably not one that you want to wait on. My most confident plays are the studs. Just jam those in and then mix and match these values.
I have 14% Day'Ron Sharpe. Paul George, I have 50. Yabusele, 44. Maxey, 28. I kind of like where I'm at with everything. Denny at 26 isn't bad. Don't totally hate that. That's a lot of Malik Beasley. I don't like that, but Cat rolled out. Yeah, see, that's
there you go. See,
that's fortunate.
And literally right before, So now it's you got. I mean, if you can, and I wonder how many spots are going to be open, but if you can pivot, So I just slammed Jalen Brunson's projection to force him into a bunch of lineups. I'm going to upload it and then see where I don't even know how much I have of them. I bumped it up quite a bit.
What I did was because there's no time, right? I adjusted my Pistons. I just have a lot of them, more than I would like with this news.
Well, Precious too is
yeah, I know
in play.
But I didn't. You know what I don't want to adjust? I don't really want to adjust my Sixers that hard. I left my Sixers. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll get exposure to those guys. We'll see. I did adjust and I didn't know if Saber would do it. It did, though. I just literally
45% Jalen Brunson now. There we go.
Nice. That's good. That's a good spot to be in. I'm definitely planning on getting there. I'm sure he'll be the best play, and I'll make my adjustments here shortly. Did what I could to kind of get it in there last second, but yeah, I thought it was a good way to go. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to be that. You know what's going to happen, AP? And this is an issue that members might be, or not even members, but people watching the show might be dealing with.
Yeah, he's in smash.
If you play Paul George, right? Let's say you lock into Paul George or you lock into some of these other guys. I think your Wemby and Giannis exposure is getting very affected by this Knicks stuff. Does that make sense, AP?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's because it was really hard to make adjustments to a lot of your teams. I think that's where a lot of the adjustments are going to be. One reason I didn't want to adjust Yabusele AP is because I had 40%, and I thought to myself, at 40%, I want to be able to get spend up guards, right? So that's obviously good. I have spend down guards already, so I have the spots open. And then when I ran my stuff too, I didn't agree with what the projections were doing. This was something I was going to adjust when I got off the show, but I have a lot of PJ Washington, which I do not think is correct. And I knew PJ Washington could turn into OG and Bridges, so I was perfectly fine with that. That was one thing I noticed with my final run that I didn't like. We can rank the Knicks, and then we'll get on out of here.
See, now if you had like time,
Jericho Sims is starting AP.
Okay, so I don't want to play Jericho Sims. Dude, like Bigs against Orlando, it's been such a brutal matchup with their size, Goga in there. They're just a massive team. So I like the matchup better for Brunson, Cole Anthony. Those two are going to go at each other. I'm siding with Brunson.
Yeah, I'm with you on Brunson.
Like Day'Ron Sharpe could play 24 minutes. That they're still going to like Jericho Sims isn't going to play 20 minutes, 22 minutes.
Listen, I'm not
Precious getting 28 or something like that.
AP, I'm not saying don't play cheap builds today, but you could make the argument to play a Keon Johnson, Cole Anthony, Tyrese Martin, and then go balanced, right? Like with Brunson, some of these Knicks, Paul George, who we already have. You could just make that case. A Denny Avdia, who's already locked in. I just don't think the Giannis Wemby builds are as strong now. I think that is an adjustment that people have to make and consider, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that's when this was a different situation where I just sorted by my highest projected because I was making pretty significant changes to projections where I wanted to I had my value pool all situated and I wanted to prioritize kind of these studs. And yeah, initially you're 100% right. I got a ton of Wemby, Giannis. But yeah, it did slightly pull my ownership down on Wemby and Giannis to elevate Jalen Brunson. And then also Paul George too at that small forward spot. But I still think I'm going to be over. I 58% of both Giannis and Wemby.
Yeah, someone also told us we got the Nets lineup. It's Keon Johnson, Tyrese Martin, Zaire Williams, Clowney, and Claxton. That's definitely a notch down to Jalen Wilson. So I am he's in your FanDuel core AP. I don't know if you want to adjust it, but I am adjusting that myself. Yeah. I'm also adjusting that I'm going to more of these balanced builds. Russell isn't starting because he's out, Big Ed. He's not even playing. So if you missed that, that's why we're kind of playing some of these Nets options. But that's most of it, AP. Do you have any final thoughts on this Knicks? I think we should just rank that, and then we'll get on out of here. I know you got to go. But for me, Knicks-wise, I think Brunson is number one. I think based on
Brunson.
Based on pricing, I have Hart as number 4, and then it's a decision between Bridges and OG. I think it's really close between the options, but that's kind of how I lean. How about you, AP?
Brunson, and then Hart's tough because of his price. But the nice thing is these guys play a ton of minutes. It really comes down to Brunson for me. I think the matchup. I think they're going to attack Cole, which again has me a little concerned. But it's definitely Brunson, then probably a coin flip between Bridges and OG. Hart's just tough on this slate because of his price. Can he hit 50 plus in a slower pace defensive matchup against Orlando with Brunson commanding a ton of usage? I struggle to see that a little bit.
All right, why am I on tilt, Mr. Cheese Lover? I'm not on any tilt.
There's no tilt here.
I wish I could have upped my Knicks a little bit more, but hey, that's just an adjustment I should have done better on. But that's okay. I did feel like I helped guide you guys at least in that direction. That I thought, hey, I think adjusting.
You did an excellent job.
Yeah, I think adjusting for the Knicks made a lot of sense, and I like taking unknowns and kind of adjusting for them and thinking about it. And I didn't do a good job of that early on, but we got there at the end. So I liked where my exposures were at. I fixed it up, and I'm ready to make my late swaps and get in the Discord chat using that code RPS15. Use 15% off your first payment. Also, hit the like on the way out if you guys could. We would appreciate it. AP, final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts. Good luck tonight. We are a couple things too. PGA shows this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and we will have shows for the playoff slates. Well, playbooks for the playoff slates, shows for the playoff slates, which starts this weekend. So I'm excited. And it's a boys' weekend. It's just me and my son this weekend. So we're going to be grinding, doing some boy stuff. And
not only that,
playing DFS.
Thursday and Friday, college football playoff, AP. Get your son watching the playoff.
Oh, gosh. Now I'm really excited. It's going to be a fan. Not going to be very productive. I might have to, get to the gym a couple days just to, or walk on the treadmill or do something. Otherwise, I'm not going to be moving much.
The move Friday night is order some wings to watch that last playoff game, so you can dial in for Saturday. Just have some wings, have the boy play some video games, and just chill out for the night. So
did they go for 3 hours today? That's awesome if they did.
They went 3 hours.
Props to them. I drafted a few. I got what I feel like is I'm not going to beat it. It's somehow I got the entire Philly starters with full Chiefs stack. So if I can get through those first 2 rounds and get that matchup with our boy K. Reed, it will be nice. We
also got Desmond Bain ruled out, so that'll be stuff to adjust for. We'll be in the Discord, so don't you worry.
Yeah.
We got to get out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mango, and AP. See you guys later.